I'm Calum Derux, and this is Think Hack, Better Living Through Psychology. Today's talk is about unlocking attraction from a perspective that very few people dare to speak on clearly. We're diving into the psychology of desire, emotional polarity, and the invisible force that makes a man not just notice you, but feel magnetically drawn to you. If you've ever wondered how some women seem to effortlessly captivate the exact type of man they want, while others constantly fall short, this episode is for you. It's not manipulation, it's not seduction games, it's understanding a deeper law. What we're talking about today is the master key to getting any man you want, not by chasing him, but by becoming the kind of woman he can't stop thinking about. Let's begin. First, we need to destroy a very popular lie that you can get a man by impressing him. This is where so many women go wrong. They try to win a man the way a man might win a woman, by being better, more successful, more pleasing, more available, more agreeable. They think if they're perfect enough, the man will choose them. But what they don't realize is this: men don't fall for perfect, they fall for feminine presence. And presence isn't about your resume, your achievements, or your body. It's about how he feels around you. A high-value man doesn't need someone to complete his checklist. He needs someone who activates his masculine core, someone who allows him to lead, pursue, protect. Not because he's superior, but because that's where he feels most alive. And if your energy constantly competes, critiques, or tries to control, he doesn't feel magnetized. He feels neutered. The master key? Stop trying to win him. Start letting him feel like a man around you. To understand how to draw in any man you want, you must understand the law of polarity. Masculine energy is direction, purpose, structure, focus. Feminine energy is flow, emotion, beauty, and connection. When these two energies collide in a healthy way, it creates tension, and that tension is attraction. But when both energies are masculine or both feminine, there's no pull, no spark. It's why so many modern relationships fail. We've been told to neutralize gender roles, to be equal in everything, and equality is important in worth, but not in energy. A woman who constantly operates from her masculine, always leading, always pushing, always doing, may impress many men, but she won't attract the kind of man she truly desires. Why? Because he doesn't feel needed, not in a desperate way, but in the way that makes him want to show up. The master key isn't submission, it's allowing space for his masculine to meet you, not in battle, but in balance. Now let's talk about the emotional secret that very few women realize. Men crave depth more than beauty. Yes, physical attraction matters. Yes, looking good will catch his eye, but what holds his heart is something much rarer: emotional contrast. It's the ability to go from light to deep, from playful to sincere, from fierce to soft, all without losing yourself. This contrast stirs him. It keeps him curious. It makes him feel alive in your presence. And it only comes from one thing: authenticity. Most women either hide their emotions or dramatize them. Neither attracts a grounded man, but a woman who feels deeply, expresses honestly, and remains anchored in her own center. She's unforgettable. She becomes the safe chaos he's been searching for, the storm and the calm, the warmth and the wildness. That contrast is the master key. It tells him this woman won't just be another pretty face, she'll be the one who changes everything. Another secret to getting any man you want is this: never chase a man, but always invite him. There's a huge difference. Chasing says, I need you to validate me. Inviting says, I know my worth and I'm open to connection. A woman who invites without begging is irresistible. She sends signals, not ultimatums. She makes herself visible, not desperate. She welcomes energy, but doesn't force it. This requires confidence, yes, but more importantly, it requires patience. The feminine does not hunt, it draws in. And the moment you stop chasing is the moment he wonders, why isn't she chasing me? What does she know that I don't? That curiosity pulls him in. And when he arrives, you don't smother him with attention. You offer presence. You show joy. You allow him to earn access to your world. That's the game most women never play, because they're too afraid he'll leave. But here's the truth: the men worth keeping stay when you stop running after them. Let's go even deeper. The master key to any man's heart is not through logic. It's not through arguing, debating, or proving yourself. It's through his nervous system. How do you make him feel in his body? Does he feel criticized or supported? Claustrophobic or free? Drained or energized? This is the realm of emotional intelligence. A woman who knows how to speak, not just to his mind, but to his feeling state, is the woman he cannot replace. She knows when to hold space, when to step back, when to challenge, and when to simply be quiet and soft. She learns his rhythms, not to manipulate, but to understand. And understanding makes him feel safe, not in the soft way, but in the way that makes him want to build something with you. Because here's the truth, men don't commit to the loudest, the prettiest, or even the most sexual woman. They commit to the woman who makes their world feel like home. And only the master key can unlock that. A woman becomes unforgettable, not because she gives a man everything, but because she withholds nothing of herself that is real. That doesn't mean she overshares, trauma dumps, or becomes emotionally unhinged. It means she is radically present. She owns her pleasure and her pain. She doesn't wear masks to keep him interested. She doesn't become agreeable to keep him calm. She tells the truth, not to attack, but to connect. Men may not always know how to articulate this, but they feel it instantly. A woman who is rooted in her own truth makes a man want to become more honest in himself. She challenges him to rise, not through criticism, but through embodiment. Her very presence whispers, "You can meet me here if you dare." That is not arrogance. That is the sacred power of the feminine, unshaken, unchasing, unhidden. That's the key that opens the door most men never knew they were waiting to walk through. Here's something else. They won't teach you on social media. A man's deepest desire is to feel like a hero, not a paycheck, a therapist, or a to-do list. This doesn't mean you stroke his ego or inflate his pride. It means you recognize his masculine gift, his drive to serve, to provide, to protect. And when a woman honors that, not with words but with appreciation, he feels valuable, not for what he owns, but for who he is. Most men don't receive admiration, they receive demands. Do this, be this, show up more, feel less. And they start to shut down. But when a woman simply says, "I feel safe with you," or "I admire how you handled that," it rewires him. He starts to see you not as another critic, but as an ally. That shift alone makes him open up, protect you, and want to go all in. Because when he feels like a hero around you, he doesn't look elsewhere. He stays by choice. One of the deadliest mistakes women make when they want a man is confusing control with influence. Control tries to dictate his every move. Influence shapes his energy without force. A controlled man may stay out of obligation, but an influenced man stays out of devotion. Influence comes from self-possession, from being so grounded in who you are, what you need, and what you won't tolerate, that he wants to rise to meet your standard, not out of fear, but out of desire. That's the difference. When you lead with fear of losing him, of not being good enough, you begin to manipulate, even if you don't mean to. But when you lead with worth, you communicate differently, you ask cleanly, you express directly, and you let go of outcomes. You don't beg for love, you stand for love. That stance, that posture, that's what makes a man respect you. And once respect is established, attraction has a foundation. Without it, nothing holds. Now, let's talk about mystery. The best relationships are not built on total transparency, they're built on curiosity. The most magnetic women are the ones who let a man discover her, slowly, layer by layer. Not because she's hiding anything, but because she values the unfolding. She understands that connection is a dance, not a data exchange. She reveals herself through time, through presence, through earned access. And in doing so, she keeps his attention, not by withholding love, but by inviting exploration. Mystery isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being worth getting to know. When a man senses that you are a woman with a rich inner world, one that doesn't revolve around him, he's drawn in. He feels the gravity of your being, and he wants to orbit it, not to conquer, but to experience. Because in a world full of women trying to be chosen, you stand out as the one who's already chosen herself. And finally, here is the hardest truth to swallow. You do not get a man by loving him more. You get him by loving yourself more. If your love for him makes you abandon your standards, your boundaries, your sanity, that's not love. That's fear dressed in romance. The greatest seduction is self-respect. The woman who walks away when her peace is threatened doesn't lose men. She filters out the ones who were never strong enough to love her properly. The woman who refuses to beg, chase, or explain herself over and over, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she played games, but because she played real. The master key to getting any man you want is knowing that you don't need him, you choose him. And if he's truly a man, he won't be repelled by your strength, he'll be aroused by it. Because it tells him one thing: if you let him in, it's not because you're desperate, it's because he earned it. A woman who understands this truth walks differently. She speaks with calm, she sets boundaries without drama. She doesn't need to scream to be heard, her energy does the talking. She's not cruel, not cold, not manipulative. She's clear. That clarity is what allows a man to trust her, and trust is the only way love can breathe. So many women try to get men to commit through pressure, through ultimatums, through emotional leverage, but real commitment can't be forced. It has to be inspired. A man stays because he feels something rare in your presence. Not comfort, not routine, but truth. You don't demand loyalty, you evoke it. And when he senses that, when he knows that you don't need him but still want him, that's when he leans in, slowly at first, then completely. Not because you convinced him, because your essence made everything else feel pale by comparison. To truly understand how to get any man you want, you have to understand timing. Most women sabotage connections not because they're not worthy, but because they're rushed. They want guarantees too early. They need answers before trust has been built. And so they try to define the relationship, read into every word, test his devotion through withdrawal or anxiety. But this pushes the masculine away. Men open on their own time, not because they're slow, but because they open based on safety. And emotional safety for a man doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. The way you speak, the way you handle disappointment, the way you receive his effort. These are the signals he watches, and if your energy says, "I trust myself," regardless of what you do, he begins to relax. That's when he becomes transparent, devoted, present, not because you pulled him, but because you stopped pulling yourself out of alignment just to earn him. The ultimate truth is this: the more you embody your wholeness, the more you become the prize. And that's when everything changes, because you stop trying to get a man and you start to choose a man. You stop asking, "How do I make him want me?" and start asking, "Does he have the capacity to hold the woman I've become?" That flip in perspective is everything. It means you no longer chase potential. You no longer perform for approval. You no longer get emotionally entangled with men who haven't done their inner work. You wait, you watch, and you receive. And when the right man appears, you don't shrink or shapeshift to keep him. You simply open, because the master key isn't about tricks, tactics, or seduction. It's about alignment. The more aligned you are with your truth, the more magnetism you radiate. And that kind of energy, it doesn't chase, it attracts. So what's the takeaway? You don't need to be more beautiful, more successful, more agreeable to get a man. You need to be more you. The kind of woman who sits in silence and still commands attention. The kind of woman who walks away without burning bridges, yet never returns to the same cage. The kind of woman who doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't overextend. Not because she doesn't feel, but because she values her emotional energy the same way a king values his kingdom. She knows that peace is priceless, that presence is seductive, that self-worth is non-negotiable. This woman doesn't get any man she wants through effort. She gets him through essence. And when she does, she doesn't lose herself in love. She becomes even more herself. And that is what every high-value man is really searching for. A woman who doesn't just love well, but lives fully. So if you've made it this far, I want you to understand something deeply. The master key has been inside you all along. It's not about him, it's about you. Your energy, your clarity, your ability to hold space for a man without losing yourself in the process. You are not meant to chase, beg, prove, or perform. You are meant to be felt, witnessed, chosen by the man who sees the real you and meets you in that truth. And if he doesn't, you walk, gracefully, powerfully, because the woman who can walk away with her peace intact is the one every man remembers. And the man who earns the right to love her, he's the one who will never stop trying to be worthy of that gift. That is the master key. Use it wisely.